Hello and welcome to This Time Africa, right here in the studios of Africa Today. And as usual, you know this is a platform where we talk about African men, African women, our culture, businesses. We talk about investments and everything African right here in the dish. But as always, the question is, what's on this time? And of course, the clock faces Sierra Leone today, where I have the pleasure of speaking with a businessman and a friend, Mr. Mohamed El Ba, very well known in the community. Welcome to the show, Mr. Ba.
Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you. And I know that you are the president, the CEO, the founder of Apple, First Apple Inc., isn't that so?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, but before it became First Apple Inc., what was it? And we're going to go into other areas, but I just want us to talk about First Apple Inc., because we're talking about investment and businesses.
First Apple Inc. originally was incorporated in Washington, D.C. in 2000 as Medsatu Forex Inc., as the name goes. It's a money transfer company that used to help people here in the United States, and for them to be able to send money back home to their families. It was actually originated in 1997 at the height of the Civil War. At that time, accidentally, most of the companies and the banks, they ran away from Sierra Leone because of the war, and they closed their doors. So we have some capital with my family, the Kala brothers. So we decided that we need to be helping people move money at that point. It was a very, very difficult moment, if you can remember.
I remember because I know I used to send money with you since I was in Sierra Leone.
Yeah, I remember you were so generous in helping so many people. I remember that name.
Thank you.
And a lot of people, we are not meeting, but you find a way to get the money to me, and we send it back home. And usually we also had like food service, because food service was a very delicate item. A lot of people were not opening stores. So we find a way to help the people back home during the war. That's where we started. And in 2000, we incorporated in Washington, D.C. as Medsatu Forex. And today, in 2016, I actually have an investor from Nigeria. Then we started operating in Nigeria. And a few years ago, Buhari was very hard on money transfer companies. And we actually incorporated and registered and licensed our license in Nigeria. So we are formally licensed in Nigeria.
That's good.
We are one of the players in the money transfer industry in Nigeria. First Apple Inc., First Apple Limited in Nigeria. And we have partnership with a company called Transfers and Choice Money Transfer. And our cooperation have worked so well. And as I'm talking to you right now, we have a big company called Omnex. We just signed our agreement. And they're going to take our online platform, because the troubles we are having, Western Union, MoneyGram are going online, and a lot of people say, Mr. Ba, how can I get to you? I don't have time to come to you. And that will be over very soon. About April 15, we will launch our online platform and an app. You will be able to send money. The difference, people may ask, why should I go to Mohamed Ba
instead of going to Western Union?
The Western Union.
What's the other thing called MoneyGram that we are used to? What's the guarantee?
The difference between us and MoneyGram, because we know the terrain and we have worked in the Forex industry for a very long time, we play with the Western Union, take too much of your Forex and MoneyGram. The exchange rate they give you is very low. In Nigeria, it's almost general. For right now, Nigeria, Western Union is paying $346 to an hour. We are paying $355 maximum, allowed by the CBN. CBN means the Central Bank of Nigeria. And in Sierra Leone, Western is paying like $822. We are paying $852, 30,000 leones more per $100. So we make our customers happy, and we are charging competitive rate like them. Up to $500, we are charging $10. What we are looking at, we are doing business, but we want to make sure our people are satisfied and they have like the highest exchange rate and a very low fee compared to Western Union, who want to take all your exchange. You know, I call them the vampires. I mean, we come here, we work money.
In the
financial industry. We come here, we work, we make our money, and they take the taxes and they follow the money back to Africa again. They take taxes. We are your solutions. And we only don't send to Sierra Leone. For me to correct that, we do all over Africa now. We have very good systems in Cameroon, Senegal. Right now I'm having a lot of Cameroonian customers because they find out what we are paying, and what they are paying is different. Like in Nigeria, it's direct bank deposit. You come and send money, within 15 minutes, money is in your bank account. Nigeria is leading money, is the cheapest and the leading money transfer technology right now. This is what they have done before. Open communication system, and they are doing so well right now. It's a very competitive space too, because everybody want to be there because of the population. Because the Nigerian, Lagos economy alone versus the whole of West African economy, Lagos economy is bigger. So everybody will be in Nigeria. It's a very competitive state, but believe me, we are there. I
am truly amazed. I mean, since 1997, what would you say you would attribute your tenacity? What has kept you on? Because it's not very usual, I should put it, that African businesses last that long. What would you say? I mean, they do, but I'm just saying, what would you say you attributed? What has kept you going to the point that you've moved from just sending money to one country and you've established yourself to all these various countries?
Thank you very much. I want to give praise to Allah. I think Allah wanted me to be in this space. That is one. Number two, the honesty. You have to be honest to be in your business, because it's very tempting and the money is very small. You have to be honest and very diligent in what you're doing. And I have a passion, and there's a story behind my money transfer.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what's the passion?
The story behind the money transfer. I started this money transfer at a time when we are going through a civil war, when everybody locked the door on us. And I tried to unlock that potential for people to be able to send. I see it as a legacy that I can keep for my kids. I'm actually we're doing some other stuff now. We're branching into other stuff, but the money transfer, I cannot let it go. And it's been very tough on us because of the U.S. Patriotic Act, the Bank Security Act. There's a lot of issues in those areas. Most banks, almost in Maryland here, 99.99% of the banks don't open account for money transfers. They don't. So one time I went to the state of Maryland. I was with Joe Rooney, the Commissioner of Financial Regulations. When I told him that, he said, "How do you survive?" I said, "I'm still surviving." But guess what? It's a challenge. We either find a way or make one, but we have to survive. Tenacity.
I love that. You either find a way or you make one. Oh my God. So would you say, I was talking to you earlier before the show, that I believe that business, investment, if you want to call it that way, is the way for the future for Africa. In order for us to have the say, the authority, I think that we have to look at business and we have to look at investment. What do you think?
That is the way to go in Africa. Let me just give you an analysis here about what is going on in Africa and African businesses. Africa has been used as a source of raw materials by the West and the Chinese. Usually they come to us. Africa has all the raw materials, but they come to us, they get our raw materials for cheap, they send it to the West to actually propagate their industries and keep their employment, and China does the same thing. And now when they manufacture these goods, our people think they are business people, they put on their ties, they go into a plane, they fly to China or America. This same good that were brought in a very cheap fashion, like the bauxite, they actually purchase them and bring them back to Africa, and now you have to pay for duty for them and actually sell them at a higher premium price to these poor people. The solution, if Africa can wake up and understand the potential that they have, I think the West will be going to look for jobs in Africa. That is the future. Africa is the future. If you want to invest in Africa, there is a lot of potential. And I know government can be an obstacle because we are on this donor dependency. Yeah. I think we have to switch.
How can we change that? How can we change the donor dependency? Because I think with everything that we have, the resources that we have, we should not be 90% dependent on that.
One of our major problems in Africa is corruption. Corruption is the biggest issue in Africa. The reason is we have what I think in my head, we have what we call neo-colonialism and neo-colonialism minds. Most of these Western leaders, they don't want smart people to rule because they want people that can follow their policies, like the IMF and the World Bank, so you can come and borrow money from them. So you're like so indebted you cannot actually grow. That is, and when you are at that level, they think they actually want us to have, they make like want to have electricity. They provided the fund, but 90% of what they provide, by the time they leave the IMF or the distributors live there, 50% of the money they bring, they are taking it back. In case of the Chinese, when they come to invest in Africa, even the water they drink, they bring it with them, and they don't hire any of our locals. And government allow them to do that. And what they do when they install those technologies, they go back 2 years after that, and Africans like cheap. They say we want cheap. I will tell you a story. Yesterday I was in a meeting for a solar program for Africa. The solar is working here very well, and they have a lot of solar business they have done here. But when we met some guys about taking solar to Africa, the experience they have on solar is very bad. You know why? It's because Africa, when you go to them, you want to install like something very, very good for them, they're going to last for the next 20 years. They prefer the Chinese to come and give them something because the Chinese pretend it is cheap. But by the time the Chinese finish going back to their home for 2-3 years, that is dead. Like the solar light we have in Freetown.
So it's a temporary 5 years.
So it's temporary 5 years. So guess what? They have to give another donation again. They send their people. And now the Chinese are taking over Africa. Like in Sierra Leone, there's a lot of Chinese now. We'll be having a lot of Chinese black babies now. Very soon. It's going to happen. So that's why we are in Africa. So that mentality needs to change. And our leaders should lead us. Thank God right now we have a leader like in Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio, which his forefront fight is corruption.
Okay.
And Muhammad Buhari in Nigeria, forefront fight is corruption. But I think corruption cannot be fought by fighting corruption after it has happened. I believe they need to deploy technologies to prevent the corruption before it happens. Because when it happens, it is too late to prevent it.
It's already in existence. So how does a government tackle that? Do we, the business people or the citizens or those in diaspora, have to do something, you think?
They do, but I think we have been living here by example. No matter how bad you are in Africa, when you come here, there is a system for you to follow.
That's right.
There are institutions. The institutions need to be strengthened.
Yeah.
If the institutions are strengthened, and there is a monitoring mechanism, you understand? Like we need to deploy software development and make sure whatever we do, there is some kind of monitoring behind it. But Africa's appointment is just based on trust. That this guy, I trust him so much, I believe he will not do wrong. And usually when a poor man sees a lot of money he's never seen before, you can think you are trustworthy, but believe me, you start to think twice. Let me just take little and see. By the time you remember, you are taking the 90%. Those are the issues in Africa that need to be taken care of to make sure we come back to where we're supposed to be. And I think with the young generation right now, and the technology that these kids are learning, and the mentality they are having, I think things will change. I'm very hopeful. I want to be very optimistic.
I am very optimistic. I mean, you're talking about Sierra Leone. I've heard a lot of people say that our president, Julius Maada Bio, is doing a great job. And I believe it's because he has surrounded himself with young people, which is another topic that I will probably address later on in the show. Younger people, dynamic, that have gone out, they've learned how developing or developed countries operate as far as their economy, the systems, their structures. So they take that back to their country. They took it back to Sierra Leone, and they're able to see how they can now merge what is going on with their new ideas.
Yeah, I agree with you. The president has selected a very good team as a cabinet, because the problem in Africa is leadership. No matter how you select good people, right? If the leader is not honest enough to lead by example, your followers will do the same wrong you are doing. But if the leader is actually serious in changing things in a country, and we trampled on tribalism and regionalism in our countries, which is a big issue, right? I think things will work. It's not magic. We are here, we see how it works every day. It works.
It does work. If we can trample on tribalism and regionalism, if we can put it down, then of course we have a way to go. And you've heard from a businessman and an investor, Mr. Mohamed El Ba, with whom I have the pleasure of speaking today. He said it rightly, that the burden lies on the head, the leadership of any nation. That's where the burden lies. So we are going to take a short break and we'll be right back. We are here in the studios of Afrique Today, and this is This Time Africa. When we come back, we'll talk to Mr. Ba about being a community activist. We'll be right back. Welcome back to This Time Africa. We're right here in the studios of Afrique Today. And as you know, today we're talking about businesses. And so I have the pleasure of speaking with none other but Mr. Mohamed El Ba. And as I said, the clock is facing Sierra Leone. We're not talking only about business, but we're also addressing community issues. Mr. Ba, welcome again. It's so great to have you. So great to have you.
Thank you.
So I know that other than being a businessman, you are also a community activist. Matter of fact, you are one of the commissioners of the state of Maryland.
That is correct.
Take us through a journey. How, because normally a businessman would say, I just want to be in my business. But you are also a community activist. Take us through that journey. How did you, what steps did you take to become a commissioner in the state of Maryland? Congratulations, by the way. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, Ms. Matilda. Thank you very much. Let me start. Usually people observe what you do in the community. Yeah. At times you think people are not watching you. People look at you, they go to event, they see what you do. And they actually, when it comes to the recommendations, I didn't do anything to be a commissioner. What I did, I was working with my community, the whole African community. I served We were the first one that formed the Sierra Leone Network. That was a think tank group within the Sierra Leone community, trying to have ideas on how to develop Sierra Leone. And through that, we had an organization called SLABA, Sierra Leone Business Association. One of the projects we did is actually to refurbish our embassy, change all the carpet in there.
I remember
We are with that group. And I've been active in, actually I went to the embassy at a point in 2006-07, where I told them that the embassy, I initiated the monthly meetings at the embassy, that you need to have monthly meetings here, get in touch with the community leaders, so let them have information on what is going on, let them be informed of what is going on back home. In fact, we even need a database of our own people, and that project is working all right. I was the first vice president of Sierra Leone Council of Representatives before I actually became the youth leader of the Fula Progressive Union and president of the Fula Progressive Union, which is an ethnic group that was formed in the 60s at the oppression of the then government of the Fulani people, trying to kick them out of Sierra Leone, say they are second-class citizens, but there was a lot of fight in that. Finally, that is over. We let that to peace because our vice president today is Dr. Mohamed Jole Jallow, who happened to be
a Fula from that tribe.
Yeah, Fula man, yes. So thank God we fought. So Fula Progressive Union was a very passionate service. I served there for 4 years. I did a lot of stuff. During the Ebola, I donated a container of supplies to Sierra Leone, which brought some kind of stuff. So what we did, we diverted. I helped a organization in Guinea that shipped over 25 40-foot containers of medical supplies to help their people in Guinea, because Sierra Leone was playing politics with the medication, so we have to move to other countries. And finally, I served in the county as an advisory board for Rossum Baker on African trade. We used to have a lot of discussions on what to do. And finally, some guy called Jay Rubade, who works for the Montgomery County, saw me and called me up that, Mr. Ba, I need to recommend you to the state of Maryland for you to be appointed as a commissioner. I didn't want to do it at the beginning, but he said, no, it will not take too much of your time. It's 4 times a year meeting, but some of the information we get from the state, that is, the Africans are not well represented. So now that you are with the community, you need to come in, and actually some of the information we get, let the Africans know what is available to them. But this is my take back and my discouragement about serving the commission. Mm-hmm. I find out that most times there's a lot of good there for the African community. Mm-hmm. We hold meeting, like we do the trade seminar. We're trying for our African brothers to come and get information on what they need to do for their community, but mostly they don't come.
You mean the African businesses, communities don't come?
Businesses and African. There's a lot of order. The state of Maryland has a lot of jobs. A lot of things are for their communities. Let me just give you an example. You know about La Casa, right? Mm-hmm. The Spanish organization that is helping the immigrants. Yeah. We can establish in the African, but it's not available. Everybody go by, I have a relative and go to a lawyer and pay. And some people who cannot pay, they fall on the cracks. And there's a lot of our kids that cannot be able to rise out of what they are. Unfortunately, yesterday, I paid my tribute to Mr. Ali Kaloko that was shot yesterday by his 20-year-old son. And I think I'm indebted to the community that for the past years, the FPU, the Jamaatul Jalil, the Sierra Leone Jama, and my leader like you are having these religious organizations that are calling our people, getting them out of their bed, let them listen to the word of God. Because morality is the only way we help our kids. America is a good country, but believe me, it is not too funny. Because you're fighting with your family, your kids, they're out there with their friends, and they can be influenced. And the only way, if you teach them the way of God, by coming to a church or coming to a mosque and listen to some moral sermons, it will help them think twice when they will do something wrong. I feel sorry for Mr. Ali Kaloko that was shot yesterday, and the wife was shot too, but the wife fortunately has recovered. She has been discharged from the hospital. And there's a lot of these issues going on within our community. So we need to do more to have this kind of centers to make sure.
And I don't want to cut you off, but I don't know if you've heard of Diaspora International Platform, DEEP. So Diaspora International Platform, of which I am the president, was instituted last year. Our goal is to have an African Resource Center, and we're going to rely on people like you. The African Resource Center that we need is going to provide not only the capacity building and investments and economic empowerment, but it's going to provide a place where parents can also come. Because one of the things we're lacking in the community is the parents finding time to come together to listen. It's not only the kids, but the parents, how to manage. And the kids also provide after school, programs, provide family services programs for them. So we have been, and I've been talking to some people in the state of Maryland as well. We need a space. If we get the space, we can do exactly what CASA is doing. Because I think that when we trickle it down to our own community, it makes a difference. Because an African boy can go to the CASA and he will get the treatment, but he feels better if there's an African Resource Center where he sees his own people, and we're able to have mentoring, we're able to have counseling, we're able to have after-school programs and all of that. Go ahead, just to let you know, so you can think about DEEP.
Well, I was in Angela also Brooks' campaign in the county, and when they asked me to ask a question, that was the exact question I asked her. I said, I do understand there is a line between the separation between churches and states, but I told her that these little communities you see, the little churches, the little mosques, where these kids come every Sunday, they learn about morality, that will actually help us lessen our jail population.
Yeah.
And the last time I went to her birthday on the 28th of February, and I met her there. She remembered me, and she took my information that they want to do something for the African community, which we need to follow up on with what you're doing. I think it is highly needed.
Very needed, because information is the way to go.
Yeah.
And so information is not carried across. So everybody is doing their own thing. We do not know that if we want to talk about money and investment, we must talk to Mr. M. Elba, who resides, or this is his office. We don't know that. We don't know that if you want to have information for people from Congo, from Ghana, you can talk to Matilda because she has a database. It's not there. So we need a place where we can bring all of that information together. It's a one-stop shop. Somebody wants to go to Congo for diamonds, you want to go to Sierra Leone to do something, you can come to that office and we can say, I know this person because he's part of this group, and you can go there and do business. I'm just saying to viewers, African Resource Center is a need.
I cannot say it better.
It's really a need. It's really a need.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that you spoke about the kids, because it's so important. So in your duties as a commissioner, what do you do? How do you trickle down the information from the state to the people? How do you do that?
We hold meetings. There is like when the legislature pass laws, they bring it to us, and we have like a database or emails of different organizations. Yeah, we actually pass those information through emails.
Okay.
And at times we hold seminars and invite people to know what is going on. And as I told you, we hold like a trade seminar. I was actually one of the organizers at the Crownsville's office. The most people I saw there were mostly Spanish. Spanish people come in there to an African event because they know the benefit of it. But I hope that mentality will change, mentality of like when you call them to a party, everybody come. But when you come there, say, God, come get information, and information is the key. And most of the time, I'm like a 411. Some people take me like a 411. They have a question about law. They call me, Mr. Ba, I want to do this. What do you think I can do? If I have a lawyer, give it to them.
Yeah.
Mr. Ba, I want to go register my kids to this. Do you think it's a good idea? At times when they hang up, I was like,
you are now the community 411.
Like I'm a bank, but I manage with my busy schedule, I managed to answer their questions. So
That's good.
some people want to file their taxes. Who do you think is a good accountant? I say, yes, this guy filed taxes here. And warn them about putting something in your tax return that don't belong to you. You don't want the IRS to go after you.
You want to deal with the right people, and that's what we're
So those are the
to
kind of things we're supposed to have, like a place where we actually advise people every year on immigration, maybe quarterly, because monthly going to be, people will come like 1 month, 2 months. The next time you call them, you always see 10 people.
Yeah.
And people get excited and it dies down.
Yeah.
So, but actually those kind of the seminars, so health seminars.
Yeah.
Like NAMA used to hold health seminars.
Yes.
They used to do a very good job. That's another Australian organization.
Yes.
You know, so yeah, so those are the things I think that we can.
Well, I'm sure that working together as partners, we are able to attain that.
I believe we should. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I believe we should be able to attain.
We should do that, and if we don't talk, we will not be able to know what each of us is doing. And I thank God for, you know, a place like Afrique Today, because it gives us the platform to share this information. So if somebody wants to reach you, somebody wants to do business with Mr. Barra or with First Apple Inc., where would they reach you? What's the website? What information would you have to share?
Well,
talk to the viewers. They're watching.
Well, we're launching our website on April 15. It's firstappleonline.com. But for now, you have to go face-to-face to our office, 6492 Landover Road, Suite A. And we
6492 Landover Road, and that's in Maryland.
Cheverly, Maryland.
Cheverly, Maryland, okay.
And we actually send to all of our 75% of Africa. Actually, we have 3 countries that we are not in. I think our partners, they are looking how the concentration of Africans. And so the diaspora, yeah, we are here.
We'll have to find time to talk about the diaspora. Do you have a telephone number where somebody can reach you?
It's 301-772-1488.
Can you say that again, please?
301-772-1488.
All right, 301-772-1488 is where we drop down the curtain for today. It's been a pleasure speaking with Mr. Mohamed Elba, who is not only a community activist but a very big businessman, the president and the founder of First Apple Inc. right here in the state of Maryland. We bring it down today, but as usual, you know what to do. Check us out on Facebook. Go to the app afriquetoday.com or go www.afriquetoday.com. This is me, your host, Sia Matilda Banga. We're wrapping up, but please stay tuned for more programs on business as usual. See you next time.